love listening to your little English speaking. Okay, so this week we're going to start talking about jobs. Okay? And we're going to start on writing our resume. So oops. Oh, I already closed it. So you have 6 tips for writing a resume. Okay, I just handed out there's another small packet. Okay, so this word resume is a French word. Okay, so it looks like resume, like the verb resume, but it's not. Sometimes there's an accent here. I think sometimes there's an accent here. But, okay, so in the United States, it's good to have a resume for your job. I don't know how, like, in your countries, do you need a resume to get a job? Yes? Okay. So, I think one of the challenges is that if you, sometimes the challenge with resumes, especially in the United States, is like, how do I translate my work skills, like, from Spanish to English or from this job to this job, right? So if you worked in a factory in Mexico, but here you want to be a secretary or a receptionist, like, how do you take those factory skills and say, okay, now I want to be a receptionist and, like, change, right? So we're going to start talking about resumes. We're going to make our resumes, not today, but maybe Wednesday, maybe next week. I don't know how long it will take. But on the computer, we're going to make them just so that, like, in the future, you have a resume, so you can go change it if you need to, and, like, that's what you can give to employers when you apply for jobs.
Yes, I remember when Mr. Kevin.
Yes.
I not finished the resume because want to succeed, but they make the resume, but it's not easy. It's too much work.
It's a lot of work to make a resume. It is. And so it's good to just, like, I just have a resume, and I just, like, whenever I apply for new jobs, I just go in and change it, right? So it's good to just have one, and then you can always, like, go in and change the job or change the dates or whatever, but it's, like, at least you'll have a base.
No, it's especially for the computers, for the trouble. Is it trouble that, I don't know if it's internet or something like that. I don't know.
So you worked on resumes last year in Kevin's class?
Yes.
You did?
Remember? Yes.
Okay.
But I'm not finished.
You didn't finish?
No.
Miss, where
Mr. Kevin moved to Asia. To Asia. To Taiwan. Yeah, I think he's teaching English to children now. I think that's what he does in Taiwan. I think that's what he does.
It looks nice over there.
It's nice. Yeah, Taiwan's a cute little country. I want to go there.
Taiwan is China?
So, no. There's a big fight about Taiwan. So, Taiwan is a little island. Like, China is this big country, right? And Taiwan is a little island. And Taiwan says, we are independent. And China says, no, you're China. Like, you're a part of China. And so there's, like, this fight.
Oh.
Yeah, still. Like, so people from China will say, like, oh, you're Taiwanese, you're Chinese. Right? And people from Taiwan will say, no.
Taiwan?
Huh?
He's from Taiwan or Korea? But they speak the same language or not? I hear the Mandarin or something.
So they do speak the same language. There's, like, one province in China that speaks a different Cantonese, and then Mandarin is what everyone else speaks, and in Taiwan they speak Mandarin. I think Kevin's family is Korean. No, Vietnamese, right?
Yeah.
Kevin's family is Vietnamese, so he's not from Taiwan. Maybe his wife is from Taiwan? I think they have family there. I don't know.
So why he moved to here?
So he moved to Taiwan during, like, the quarantine.
Oh.
So part of me thinks that maybe he moved there because they handled COVID way better than the United States. Like, I have a friend that lives in Taiwan, and she never stopped working. Like, they did a really good job with the COVID. And so, like, the government gave everyone a mask every day. Like, you could just go get a free mask every day. And so, Taiwan handled it much better than we did. But, okay. So, do you have a copy of the resume you made last year? No?
I think I have to look for it.
Okay. Like, is it in your email, or did he print them for you?
Yeah, he printed it.
Okay. Interesting.
I think, you remember, I have the papers in my home I'm looking for, but.
Okay, if you can find it, you can bring it.
Okay.
Because you've already done the work, so like if you have it, bring it.
Okay.
But we're gonna make resumes in Google Docs. So it's online. So like you'll have access to, as long as you have your email, you'll have access to your resume. So we'll do it online. So you can look at it at home, you can look at it at school. It will be connected to your email.
Okay. It's more better for online, you do in Google?
For sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's good for you to know how to use Google Docs. So,
Okay.
so we're going to be doing a lot, but it's going to be fun, I think. It's like a project.
Okay.
So, all right. So, this activity, we're going to watch a video about 6 mistakes that people make when writing their resumes. And so, we're going to talk about the mistakes. So, let me go grab our link. Here we are.
Well, I don't think we have, because the last time that when we stopped, I think the classes, we leave the perfect and the.
Oh, the folders?
Yes.
Oh, maybe they're still over there.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Okay, maybe they're still. I'll go ask. I can go see if they're still over there.
Miss Becky.
So it was like in a folder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, I can go look and see. Because, yeah, if you've already done a lot of the work, then that will be helpful.
You know, I remember the child you asking me, the child, ¿cómo se llama la de lentes? La de
Dalia?
¿eh?
Dalia?
Oh, Dahlia, yes.
Remember she helped and Lysandra too.
Oh, okay.
Because she really did in the computer.
Oh, yes, Lysandra's really good at computers.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Alright, so here's our video.
The first word spelled wrong.
Alright. Okay, so mistake number 1. Okay, so mistake number 1 on your paper is not proofreading your resume. Can I what? Oh, so look, just write this, Iris. Not proofreading your resume. Huh? Proofread? So proofread is when you look back over something that you've written and you're like, oh wait, it's made, not make. Oh wait, I need an S. Yeah, so proofreading is like rereading your work again and correcting it. Okay? Okay. Alright. Oh, well, I just told you. What does proofreading mean?
Make sure that it's right what we wrote.
Yes, make sure that what you wrote is correct. Yes. Okay. Yay, we got it wrong. Right.
Okay, so on this resume here, I see we have another spelling mistake.
Okay. So, oops, sorry.
And when we look at their experience, responded, provided, worked, assisted, identified, performed, resolving, you want to make sure that if you're going to use past tense or present tense, it's consistent all the way through.
So, do you see that? The person put responded, provided, worked, identified, and then they did resolving with the ing. So she's saying if you're going to use past tense, responded, provided, worked, then you use past tense all the way down. So, or you could do ing, but it needs to be all ing or all past tense. Like your verbs need to be all the same tense. Okay? So what were the mistakes that she found? Not the same tense, right? And what else? Misspelled. Yes. Yeah, so he didn't spell one of his words right. Good.
Bingo.
Bingo. Okay.
So we can see the beginning of this resume has a lot of formatting issues. There's just some spaces in between the words that look really sloppy.
So, okay. Oops, sorry. Alright, let me go back to that one.
Always make sure to get someone that you trust to proofread your resume for you. The beginning of this resume has a lot of formatting issues. There's just some spaces in between the words that look really sloppy.
So always double check your formatting and spacing. So you want it to look good, right? And so this, she's saying like there's big spaces in between some of the words and it just looks kind of strange. So you want to double check your formatting. Okay? Good.
Always make sure to get someone that you trust to proofread your resume for you.
Okay, so it's not a bad idea. Like bring it to school. I'll read it. I'll read your resume. Give it to someone that you trust, like that knows resumes, to say, hey, can you look at this and tell me if you think it's good or bad? So like my husband is a manager, so he looks at resumes all the time, and so he's really good at like saying, oh, this is good, this is bad, like take that out. And so maybe like when y'all are done, I can have him look at your resumes and he can give you some advice. All right, mistake number 2. TMI. Do you know that? TMI. Too much information.
Oh,
So just as a funny, like, if someone, you can use TMI, like if I came in and I was like, oh my gosh, I had diarrhea last night. You could be like, ew, TMI. Like, too much information. Don't tell me that. Okay, so you can use that. You can use that with your friends or with your kids. Like, ew, TMI. Okay. All right, so let's watch why too much information is a mistake.
This person has included way too much personal information in their resume. Gender, date of birth, a personal picture, nationality, and marital status does not need to be included in your resume. All of this.
Ooh, okay, so what is needed in your resume? So marital status?
No.
No. Gender?
No.
No. Nationality?
No.
No. Date of birth?
Yes.
Especially if you're a woman.
No. Not. You don't need to include your date of birth on your resume. No. Hobbies? So hobbies, if like, Maria enjoys making things. So like, if she bakes and she's applying to a bakery, like you could put, I really like baking, like as a hobby, right? So hobbies is the only one that you would put on here.
Only hobbies?
Yes.
Really?
Okay, so look at what this,
All of this information leaves the door open for this. Does not need to be included.
Okay, just a
in your
minute. She's
resume.
going to tell you why.
All of this information leaves the door open for possible grounds of discrimination.
Okay, so she says, get out of here. Providing too much information is going to leave you exposed to discrimination.
Oh.
Okay, so that's on number 2 under the mistakes. It says why. So put it might lead, or maybe it might lead to discrimination. So in the United States, workers cannot, like, employees and bosses, they can't say, like, oh, well, sorry, Maria, we like you, but we need a man for this job. Like, if you can do the work, it's not legal for them to say, we can't hire you because you're a woman. We can't hire you because you're Mexican. We can't hire you because you're too old. We can't hire you because you're gay or whatever. There's like these protected classes. And so if you put too much information, and so for women, it's not legal for in an interview for them to say, oh, do you have children? It's not legal in the United States. They're not supposed to ask that question because that is discriminating against mothers, right? They're assuming that, oh, because she has children, she's going to be absent all the time, right? Which is not legal. They can't do that. They cannot ask that question. Yeah. So,
Miss Beth, I'm sorry. This is why, sometimes you say this is not for discrimination. Anyone when you apply.
yes.
This is
We do not discriminate. Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Understand.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's important, like, you have to be careful in interviews because they might, like, they can't ask you if you have kids, but, like, they might try, like, what do you like to do in your free time? And so, I mean, I have worked in jobs where women, so I worked at a nonprofit, an organization that did free English classes for adults, and, like, my friend didn't get promoted because my boss, who was a woman, said, oh, you just want to have babies, and after you have your baby, you're going to leave. So, like, you don't need a promotion. And that's not legal. It's not legal. It's discrimination. So women really, like, we have to be careful because that will happen to us.
Oh my God, that is good information for
Right, yeah, like, yeah, so if you're pregnant, I mean, if you're, like, pregnant, obviously they can tell, right? But you don't have to tell someone when you're interviewing, like, oh, I'm like 1 month pregnant, in 8 months I'm gonna have a baby. You don't have to say anything. Because that's just a part of life, right? Like, it's just, having babies is part of, it's just part of life. But yeah, companies are like, ugh, women, they just have babies and then they want to take off all this time.
Especially when you have the breastfeeding and the child, you need to take out the...
Right. It's getting a little better, but, like, in the United States, we're not good at providing, like, so they call it maternity leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know that? Maternity leave. So in the United States, I think it's like 6 weeks or something. And in Europe, like, if you lived in Germany or England, it's like maybe a year of maternity leave, and the dad gets like, and the dad gets like several months of maternity leave.
You know that in California has the parent leave, like for the father, not just the mother.
Yes, so paternity leave. Yeah, so, like, there is a big push in the United States to, like, expand our maternity leave and paternity leave. So maternity is mother, like, where she gets off time. Paternity leave is for the father.
Some places have a right here now.
Yes, so some companies.
It's like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, so some companies in the United States will have, like, really good maternity or paternity leave. But, like, as a country, like, it's not a law that you have to offer that. And in Europe, it's like a law that you have to offer that.
But the paternity leave, if they have it, they supposed to pay those 2 weeks or not?
I think, well, sometimes it's paid. Sometimes it's paid. Sometimes it's unpaid, especially in the United States. A lot of times it's unpaid. So, like, they'll save your job. So, like, I think at my husband's company, I don't think it's paid maternity leave. So, like, they'll save your job. They won't give your job to someone else, but you're not getting paid while you're not working.
Dependable.
Huh?
Dependable.
It depends on the company. Yeah, so it depends on the company what the policy is. So that could be, I mean, like when you start, if someone offers you a job, like, and you're looking at benefits, that could be, if you're still interested in having more children, which I don't know that any of us are, that could be something that you would ask. Yeah. So, anyway.
It's good information.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting. And so, like, if it's like this guy is interviewing you and he's like, "Are you single?" That's not legal. Like, he's not allowed to do that, right? He can't. It's gross. Yeah, it's really gross. Yeah. Are you gay? Are you gay? Yeah, you can't ask that. It's not legal. So, like, you can't, there's a bunch of, like, let's think. So, like, religious schools, like churches that run schools. And there's been a lot of, like, fights over that because the church might, in the interview, say, like, okay, are you straight? Are you gay? Are you, like, and they're not allowed to ask that. So it's a really interesting, like, problem. But, yes. So you have to be careful. Okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for
Information.
Yes.
provide the information.
Okay, so what is discrimination?
The top totally.
So, yes. So treat people different because of race, age, or sex. Good. And to put people in different groups because of race would also be discrimination. Yeah. Oh, okay, let's talk about age for a second. So, in one of your packets, I was actually looking at this yesterday. In one of your activities, there's, let's see, it's on Wednesday. Here, let's look at this. Okay. Okay.
Any information that's protected under the Human Rights Code does not need to be included.
Okay. So let me show you real quick. So this Wednesday, it's a Wednesday packet. This is for a job advertisement, and I was looking at it and I was like, wait a minute. So look at the qualifications. You see how it says female, Thai nationality, 23 to 30? And then they want, if you keep reading, they want you to send a photo. That's not legal in the United States, okay? They can't be like, oh, you have to be like a hot 24-year-old. It's just not legal. Like, there's people that do it, of course, but like, you probably don't want that job, right? If they're already doing that in the in the resume process, you don't want that job. So anyway, this female, like, we want to hire a woman. It's not legal in the United States.
Even choosing the nationality of
Right. And choosing, yeah, like, if you can do the job, you should have an equal opportunity. That's what that means, like, equal opportunity to be hired for the job. And so that's where women and people that don't speak English as their first language, yeah, like, people face discrimination in this. And so your resume gets you the interview, and so in your resume you don't want to put any information that they're going to be like, oh, she's old, we don't want her, right? So you don't want to put any information that they'll be like, ugh. Because you get in there and you nail the interview, and then they'll be like, oh, she's old, but we love her.
While the protected grounds may differ from province to province.
Oh,
Sorry, Miss.
no, go ahead.
This is special for when you have the 50 or something.
Yeah.
The 16. And something.
Yes.
Because I see in the stores in the Fiesta or Kroger or Albertson, I see the I don't know, ¿cómo se llaman los señores? Their age. It's working.
Right. Yeah, you can't discriminate based on age. So you
Yeah.
can't say like, oh, you're too old.
Yeah.
Now, like, you can ask questions like, can you lift 50 pounds? Can you, like, that's required as part of this job.
Yeah.
Can you do computers? Like, they can say like, okay, well, you're 70, you can't lift 100 pounds, right? So it's probably not a good job for you. like that's okay, but you can't say like, oh well, this is a secretary job, but we want like a pretty young thing. Like you can't.
No.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
The main ones that are usually covered are race, nationality, ethnic origin, color, religion, age, sex, sexual orientation, marital status, family status, and disability.
Disability is another one that you have to
Yeah.
like be careful with. So. Okay. So mistake number 3, employment dates without months. Okay.
In this resume, only the years of employment have been listed, so I don't know how long they held this position. It could have been 3 months or a year, which is a very different time frame. Okay, so in this resume, the individual has included the months and years of employment, and they even went a step further to list the duration for.
So do you see how they put, a lot of times they want to know, okay, how long did this person work there? And so if you just put 2012 to 2013, she's like, you could have started in December and quit or been fired in February, right? So she's saying put the months, and then this person also put the duration. So here's how long I worked there. So they don't have to do the math in their head.
Which they held the role. This makes my job a lot easier.
Okay, it's important to include the dates when you worked at a job. True. Duh.
It's always good to include the months as well as the years.
Ooh, okay, so mistake number 4, listing job duties. Huh? Duties? Duties is like responsibilities, kind of like, she'll explain it, but just listing like what your job was. So she'll explain it.
So in this resume, we can see that this individual has provided a long list of things that they've done in this role. So they provided technical support, they performed troubleshooting, performed log analysis, assisted customers, etc. So while they've done a good job of listing out all of their responsibilities within the role, they haven't given us any information to say how they were successful in that role.
Okay. So, well, we'll keep going.
What were their accomplishments? Was there any cost savings? Here they attended some technical training. What was the return on this investment? What was the outcome? You don't want to just list everything. You want to tell me how you were successful and what you achieved.
Okay. So, you don't just want like a list of things like a job description, right? You have to, you want to put like, what did you bring to the job that made it better, that like a new idea that you thought of. So like for me, if I was doing a resume, I wouldn't just put taught English, right? I could say explored GED programs. My students made this much progress on their tests, right? So like I can tell people like how I was good at my job. Okay? So I know that's a little difficult to understand right now, but once we get into it, I hope that we'll be able to, like, you'll understand it a little better.
Good morning, W-Stars. Happy Monday. Teachers, co-teachers, if you use the laundry basket from the lounge to take your blankets and sheets to your classroom, could you please return them back to the lounge as we
Want
have
to get
people
away
cleaning
from
their laundry. We are looking for the rolling laundry basket. Thank you.
So your resume is not a job description. I like thinking of it that way. Like, it's not just a list of like what the job was. Like, you want to tell them, how did you make it better? Okay, so like if you won a customer service award, you would put that. If you increased efficiency, like if you were more efficient in something, you could put that. Okay, so it's like, how did you do the job well is what you want to list in the resume. Okay, all right.
Writing your resume as though it's a job description, it's not. You want to focus more so on your achievements. I'm more interested in their accomplishments within the role. So things such as, was there a return on any investments? Did they save the company money? Were they able to make processes streamlined, more efficient?
Okay, mistake number 5, making your resume too long.
There's not too much writing, right?
Too long. You don't want to make it too long.
Wow, this resume's 4 pages long. There's no way a recruiter's going to read a 4-page resume.
So they spend 10 seconds on average looking at resumes. So if your resume is 4 pages long, they're not going to look at all of it. It's too long.
You don't need to include all of
Okay, so how long does an employer review your resume? 10 seconds. Good.
You don't need to include all of your work history, especially if it isn't relevant to the role that you're applying for.
Okay, so like, do you understand that? There's no need to include all of your work history. So like, for example, my first job was working at a dry cleaners. So does that job apply to teaching English? No, like nothing about that job is helping me here in teaching English. So I don't need to include that on my resume. Okay? When listing jobs, it's important to list all of your job history. False, right? Only the stuff that's relevant. Yeah.
Your resume is not an autobiography. Keep it short and succinct and to a maximum of 3 pages.
I think my husband would say 1 page.
This individual has 6 years.
Wait. Let's see. Okay, so failing to tailor. To tailor means to change. A tailor is someone who, like, if your shirt is too big, you can take it to a tailor and they'll like fix it so it's the right size. Right? So a tailor makes it the right size. So like this is talking about making your resume fit the job that you're applying for. Right? So like if I'm applying for an ESL teacher position, I don't need to put my experience at the dry cleaners. That's tailoring my resume. Okay?
This individual has 6 years of customer service and sales experience in a team lead position and looks like they could be a great fit for our role. However, when I read through their work history, they haven't really provided a lot of information to explain how their skill sets are transferable or related to the role. A resume needs to have a purpose. It should
So why are you a good fit for the position? What skills you can bring to the team? Okay?
recruiter why you are a good fit for the position and what skills you can bring to the team. It's important to tailor your resume to every job you apply to.
Okay, so let's put the words in order. Tailor your resume to every job application. Yes.
cover letter allows you to show your personality and explains why you're the perfect fit for the role. Don't just submit a generic template that doesn't tell the recruiter anything other than the job you're applying to. Use your cover letter to explain why.
So have you heard of a cover letter before? So a cover letter goes with your resume. Sometimes, some jobs ask for a cover letter, some jobs don't. So it's like a letter, and you're saying why you're interested in the role, how your experience will add value. So it's kind of like a narration of your resume. So like your resume is a list, right, of your accomplishments. Your cover letter is a chance for you to like bring your personality and say like, here's why I want to work here. Okay? Because I can do this, I can do this. I did this at my last job. I'm really excited about this. And so a cover letter is like another way for them. It's almost like a pre-interview kind of, where you're saying like, here's why I am a good fit for this position. Okay?
Why you are interested in the role, how your experience will add value, and how you will be successful.
Okay, so this is a T-style cover letter. So what's the importance of a cover letter? We just talked about it. We'll just see this. All right.
A T-style cover letter is a great format to use because you can show all of this information and compare.
Okay, so look. So here's the job requirements. All right, and then here's the person. They said, okay, here are my qualifications. And so it's just like a really easy way for you to say like, I have looked at this job description. Here's how I'm a good fit for it. Okay?
Compare the employer's job requirements with your own qualifications.
Done. Done. Okay. Questions? Questions? No? All right, sisters. We have 15 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn to... okay, so then on the next page of that little packet, we have... Yeah, like let's do some vocabulary. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to do this vocabulary. So you're just matching. So an occupation that one has for a long period of time. Which one of these words goes with that? Okay, so you match the word with the definition.
What then, oh.
So wait. Okay, so curriculum vitae. So the first one, the definition over here would be this one. A document that summarizes one's skills and qualifications, aka CV. So you would write a B, and actually in the US we call this a resume. Okay. If we need to do it together, we can do it together. And if you need to look up the words on your phone, look them up. That's fine. You can use Google Translate. So an occupation that one has for a long period. Here, let's do this. Okay, so we've already done B. All right. So an occupation that one has for a long period of time. Okay? So like a job, right? Like my 16-year-old is looking for a job. Like maybe he'll work at McDonald's. Hopefully that won't be a really long time, right? So what do we call an occupation, a job that you have for a long time? So let's look at this list of words. Qualification? No. Career?
Yes. Yes and no. No.
Yes,
Yes.
it's career.
Really?
Yeah, okay. So a career is like a teacher, or like my husband is a finance guy. So like that's his career. So even if it's not the same job, like at the same place, it's what he's doing. So like your husband has worked in restaurants a long time, right? So like that's his career. Does that make sense? It's not just a job, like a little job. So like Iris wants to be a chef. So like that would be her career. So like right now she's not a chef. Well, you're a what do they call? What's your job at Lada?
Kitchen support.
Kitchen support, right? So like that's her job right now, but like her career, what she wants her career to be is a chef. Okay, so like it's the long when you think. And actually now like younger people actually don't have like these long careers, right? Like my husband's dad, he worked for the same company for 50 years. And now, like my son, there's no way he will not work at the same company for 50 years. Like we change jobs more often than our parents did. Okay, so we found that one. All right, describes a type of resume that highlights abilities over experience.
2.
Let's see. Okay, so qualification.
Yes. A person who is seeking. Oh, no, seeking. Someone to hire.
Okay. Oh my gosh, y'all. All right. So qualification, which one do you want to do? Definitions or words? Which one is easier? To like find the definitions first?
Look the definitions and find a word.
Look at the definitions and find the word. Okay, so describes a type of resume that highlights abilities over experience. Okay, so I'll give you some hints. It's either this one or this one. Yes. Okay. So C, a functional resume is a type of resume that highlights abilities over experience. Okay, so here's what I can do. Okay. All right. A word, usually a noun, related to a specific field or topic. Do you know that one? D. Okay. So keyword. All right. So if you're applying through, you know, like monster.com, indeed.com, there's like these big websites where you can put your resume and then you can go and apply for jobs. They make it really easy. So they use these computer algorithms, like a robot basically, to read your resume. And you want to include keywords. I don't know much about this actually. My husband knows more about it than I do. But you want to include words on your resume that the robot will be like, oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay, and then the robot sends it to the boss and says, maybe this person. Okay, so like it's important if you're applying like to a big company that you use these keywords so that the robot like flags your resume and says, yes, like maybe this person. Okay, so we'll talk more about that as we get into it. All right, overused and outdated, a word or expression to avoid using. Do you know that one? This is a hard one. So, okay. So this is a cliche. It's number 11. So E is number 11. Let me look up some cliches. What are some cliches? No, thank you. I don't need the translation. So popular cliches. Let's see. So time flies. Have you heard that one? Time flies. Like, oh, it's like people that. So let me think. Yeah, it's like. So if someone says, okay, what are your strengths, right, in a job? What are your strengths? And you say, well, I'm flexible. Like, that's very, like, everyone is flexible, right, in a job. Like, that's just something that everyone is. And so you want to be more specific. So cliches are things like, I'm flexible, or I'm hardworking, right? Like, what is that? Everyone is going to say they're hardworking in a job.
Something like more popular.
Yeah, it's like something that everyone says. You want to be more specific. Okay, so you don't want to use cliches on your resume.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we did that one. Okay. F, long and detailed. Yes, F is number 12. Extensive. Okay. Long and detailed. A type of describes a type of resume that highlights job experience in a timeline. So first here, then here, then here, then here.
Chronological?
Number 8. So it's chronological. So it's a type of resume. So your resume can be functional, where you say like, okay, here's all the things I can do that match this job. Or it could be chronological, which you're saying like, here was my most recent job, and then I worked here, and then I worked here before that. Okay? So chronological means putting things in order by time. So first, second, third, okay? That's what chronological means. All right. One of a series of short form notes placed under a heading. Gosh, these, okay. Let me show you. Okay, so this one is number 6. It's a bullet point. Okay, so number 6 is H. And I'll just show you a bullet point. I love bullet points. So like in my lesson plans, see, like these are bullet points. So for Monday, there's 2 things to do. So it makes it easier to look at a list and be like, if I didn't have those, you'd be like, wait, what? Like there's so much to look at. So bullet points helps keep you organized. Okay? Those are called bullet points. Okay? Bullet points. And I'll teach you how to do those so you'll use them on your resume. Does that make sense? Okay. Cool. All right. Okay, a person who is seeking someone to hire.
I don't know how to
Yes.
Seeking is looking. right?
Looking, yes. So they want to hire someone. So that would be a recruiter. A recruiter. Yes. So this is like for super professional jobs. Like my husband's company, they have recruiters. It's their only job is to find people. Like they go to colleges, they get on the websites, and they look for people who could fit these positions. Okay? So like big companies will have recruiters. And there's also, you can hire like so sometimes like smaller companies will contact recruiting companies and say, okay, we need a receptionist. I want you to find me a receptionist. And so that company works, they have a bunch of resumes that they have. So if you want to do office work, actually, you can like send your resume to a recruiter, and I can help you find some companies. And so then they just have your resume, and a lot of different companies will say, okay, here's what we need for this job. And then the recruiter will look at all the resumes they have and say, oh, like maybe Noelia would be a good fit for this job. Maybe Iris would be a good fit for this job. And so that's another way to find, especially like office work, I think that's a good way to get into office work. Okay? So recruiters, people who are looking to hire, they say, hey, come work with us. All right? Okay, possible in the future. Yes. J, number 9. Potential. That's a good word. It's a good word for a job. An ability or skill that one has earned or learned.
Number 8 is G or
J.
J? No, 8.
Oh, number 8 is G. Yes. J, G, and J. I know those are hard to say. Okay, K. An ability or skill that one has earned or learned. So it's either qualification or objective. Qualification. Yeah, so so your lists of qualifications. So like you could say bilingual would be a qualification that all of you have. Okay? Bilingual, Spanish and English. That's a qualification. GED would be a qualification. Yeah? Okay, so then an objective is the main purpose. L. And we'll talk about that. Okay, good. So that's all we're doing today on that. Has anyone ever used a resume to get a job in the United States? No? Iris, how did you get your job? Apply? Go in? So you work at Lada, right? Did you just fill out an application? Did you give him a resume?
No. She just walked in.
You just walked in? You got the entrevista? Like you just walked, you said, hi, I need a job. Okay.
Okay, just say that my boss. Okay, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Start tomorrow.
Start tomorrow.